Dawn breaks on an empty road. No sound, but your breath. No witness, but the cold. This is where mastery begins. Not in triumph, but in the space before action. In the pause where most men turn back. Miyamoto Musashi walked alone for decades. Not because the world rejected him, because he rejected comfort. He understood what most never will. That strength is not built in company, but in the hours when no one is watching. When there is no applause, no validation, only the blade and the breath. You are not Musashi, but you carry the same choice he carried every morning. To rise or to sleep, to sharpen or to rust, to face the war inside or let it fester in silence. Most choose sleep. They tell themselves tomorrow will be different. They build elaborate plans in the dark, fantasies of discipline that evaporate with the first rays of light. They speak of change the way children speak of dragons, with excitement, but no belief. Musashi did not speak of change. He became it. He did not wait for motivation. He did not journal his feelings or seek permission from the noise around him. He walked into the cold and swung his sword until his hands bled. Then he swung again. This is the first law. Action precedes clarity. You will not think your way into discipline. You will not feel your way into mastery. You will move, and the fog will part. Or you will stand still, and it will consume you. The difference between the master and the wanderer is not talent. It is tolerance for discomfort. Musashi slept on wood, ate sparingly, refused the comforts that other men called reasonable, not out of asceticism, but out of understanding. Every comfort is a chain, every indulgence a small death. You think you are free because you can choose, but your choices have made you a prisoner. You choose the easy conversation, the soft bed, the screen that asks nothing of you, the food that numbs, the distraction that dissolves hours into nothing. And each choice feels small, harmless, but they accumulate like rust on a blade left in the rain. One day, you reach for sharpness and find only rot. Musashi's life was not a story of talent. It was a story of refusal. He refused mediocrity. He refused excuses. He refused the comfort of belonging to a school, a master, a tradition that would tell him who to be. He stood alone because he understood. The crowd is a place where edges dull. You do not need a dojo. You do not need a mentor. You do not need permission. You need only the willingness to be cold, to be hungry, to be unseen. The modern world has built a temple to comfort. Everywhere you turn, someone is selling you ease. Faster, softer, simpler. They promise mastery in minutes, transformation in a weekend, strength without sacrifice. They are lying. Or worse, they believe it. Mastery is not a product. It is a process of elimination. You do not add skills. You remove weakness. You do not build a new self. You burn away the false one. Musashi did not become Musashi by adding techniques. He became Musashi by discarding everything that was not essential. One sword, one breath, one strike. The rest is noise. You live in noise. It surrounds you like water. It fills your ears, your eyes, your thoughts. You have learned to call it connection, community, content, but it is drowning you. Every notification is a hook in your attention. Every scroll a small surrender. You think you are choosing what to consume, but the current is choosing for you. Musashi walked away from the current. He chose the mountain, the silent road, the empty room, not because he hated people, but because he loved clarity more. Clarity is the only weapon that matters. With it, you see the enemy before he strikes. You see the opening before it closes. You see yourself without illusion. Without it, you are blind, swinging in the dark, hoping for contact. Most men live blind. They mistake busyness for purpose. They mistake noise for progress. They fill their days with motion and call it momentum. But motion without direction is just exhaustion. Musashi moved with intention. Every step deliberate, every strike considered. He did not waste energy on display. He did not fight to prove himself. He fought to refine himself. Each duel was a test, not of his opponent, but of his own clarity. Could he see the opening? Could he wait? Could he strike without hesitation when the moment came? Most men hesitate. They see the opening and doubt. They question. They wait for certainty. But certainty is a lie. There is only the moment and the strike. Hesitation is death, not literal death. Something worse, the slow death of potential, the erosion of the self that could have been. You hesitate every day. You see what needs to be done, and you pause. You negotiate. You tell yourself you need more time, more information, more readiness. But readiness is not a feeling. It is a decision. Musashi did not wait to feel ready. He stepped into duels that could kill him. He walked into dojos and challenged masters. He did not know if he would win. He only knew that standing still was worse than dying. You are standing still. You have been standing still for so long you have forgotten what movement feels like. You call it patience. You call it planning. You call it wisdom. But it is fear. Fear dressed in the language of reason. Fear hiding behind the mask of prudence. And every day you stand still, the gap widens. The gap between who you are and who you could be. Between the life you live and the life you imagine in the dark. Musashi closed that gap with steel and silence. He did not imagine a better self. He forged it, in the cold, in the repetition, in the refusal to stop when his body screamed. This is the second law. The body will break before the will. Your body is weak. It will beg you to stop. It will invent reasons, symptoms, emergencies. It will tell you that rest is wisdom, that pushing is reckless. Ignore it, not recklessly, not stupidly, but with the understanding that the body is a liar trained by comfort. Musashi's body screamed. His hands blistered. His muscles tore. His joints ached in the cold. He swung the sword anyway, because he understood. The body adapts. It learns. It becomes what you demand of it, but only if you demand. You do not demand. You negotiate. You bargain. You make deals with your weakness. Just today, you say. Just this once. But once becomes a pattern. A pattern becomes a character. A character becomes a life. And one day, you wake up and realize, you are not who you wanted to be. You are who you permitted yourself to become. Musashi permitted nothing. He lived like a blade, sharp, cold, single purpose. He did not indulge. He did not relax. He did not celebrate. He walked the road and refined the strike. That was all. You think this sounds joyless, grim, inhuman, but you have mistaken pleasure for joy. Pleasure is easy, cheap, everywhere. It asks nothing and gives nothing. It fills the moment and leaves you empty. Joy is different. Joy is the feeling of alignment, of becoming, of closing the gap between what you are and what you could be. Musashi knew joy, not in the victory, not in the acclaim, but in the strike that landed true, in the hour of practice that sharpened the edge, in the silent morning when the sword felt like an extension of his arm. That is joy, the joy of mastery. You will not find it in comfort. You will not find it in distraction. You will not find it in the easy yes. You will find it in the hard no. No to the soft bed. No to the extra hour of sleep. No to the conversation that leads nowhere. No to the screen. No to the excuse. Every no is a step toward the self you are meant to be. Musashi's life was a series of refusals. He refused the easy path, the warm fire, the woman who wanted him to stay, the students who wanted him to teach. He refused because he knew every attachment is a weight, not because love is wrong, not because connection is meaningless, but because mastery demands singularity. You cannot serve two paths. You cannot walk toward the mountain and toward the valley at the same time. You must choose. Most men never choose. They try to walk both roads. They want the discipline and the comfort, the mastery and the ease, the sharpness and the softness. They end up nowhere, dull and scattered, half committed to everything, mastered by nothing. Musashi chose the mountain. He walked it alone. He slept under stars. He ate when he could. He trained until his body failed. And in that solitude, he became something most men will never touch. Whole, not perfect, not invincible, but undivided. He was one thing, one purpose, one edge. You are fractured, pulled in 1,000 directions by 1,000 voices. You do not know what you want because you have never stopped listening long enough to hear yourself. The noise is not outside. It is inside. You have internalized the chaos. You have learned to mistake it for thought. But thought is quiet. Thought is clear. Thought is the still water that reflects the truth. Noise is the storm that hides it. Musashi found stillness in motion, in the strike, in the breath, in the single focus that collapses the world into one point. You can find it too. But you must stop. Stop scrolling. Stop talking. Stop consuming. Stop filling every silence with sound. Sit in the cold, in the dark, in the empty room. Let the noise drain away. Let the fear surface. Let the discomfort settle into your bones. And then, move. Not because you feel ready. Not because you have a plan. But because stillness without action is just paralysis in disguise. Musashi did not meditate his way to mastery. He fought. He failed. He refined. He repeated. The way is not in the head, it is in the hands. You have spent too long thinking about discipline, reading about it, watching videos, taking notes. But discipline is not knowledge. It is repetition. It is the same cold morning, the same hard task, the same refusal of comfort, again and again and again, until it is no longer hard, until it is simply what you do. Musashi did not wake up motivated. He woke up committed. Commitment is the only force stronger than comfort. Motivation fades, inspiration dies, feelings betray. But commitment is a contract with the self, a decision made once and honored forever. You haven't committed. You have wished. You have hoped. You have intended. But intention without action is betrayal. Every day you do not act, you betray the self you could become. Musashi never betrayed himself. He made a promise in the dark, and he kept it. For 60 years. No master ever came to correct him. No crowd ever cheered. He walked alone, refined alone, became alone. And when he finally wrote in the last years of his life, he did not write about victory. He wrote about the way. The way is not a destination. It is a direction. You do not arrive. You walk. And every step is a choice. Toward clarity or toward fog. Toward sharpness or toward rust. Toward the self or toward the noise. Musashi walked toward the self every day until the day he died. You stand at the same crossroad. The dawn is breaking. The road is empty. The choice is yours. Will you walk or will you sleep? Will you sharpen or will you rust? There is no third option. There is no middle ground. There is only the blade and the breath, the strike and the silence, the way.